I'd like to call the Transportation Committee meeting to order, Tuesday, March the 11th. Ms. Liz, let everyone know that everyone's present. Ms. Terry's going to lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet here this evening to do the business of Ascension Parish. We ask your blessing upon those, Father, who sit in this committee and make the decisions that are so important to citizens of this community. Father, even bless those who ridicule us, that they might grow in wisdom that this is not as easy as it sometimes appears. Thank you, Father, for the blessings of this day and on the people of Ascension Parish. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Liz. Number 4, Chairman's report. Only thing I would, at this time, with the heavy, with the ice and the heavy winter we had, I want to start looking at maybe the striping on our parish roads. I'll be more than glad to meet with the administration and see if we can start looking at some of these. You can tell on some of the roads that the striping is really starting to look pretty rough, and see what we can do in the upcoming months. That's all out on the Chairman's report. Number 5, the Road Department Monthly Report for February 2014. Mr. Pierce.
Yes, good evening. We had a total of 1.84 tons of recyclable materials were collected at the monthly road show held at Walmart in Prairieville. So far this year, we had a total of 3.29 tons of recyclable materials that have been collected at the Walmart road show. A total of 18.6 tons of recyclable materials were collected at the DPW in February. And so far this year, we had 33.5 tons of recyclable materials that have been collected at DPW. We had a total in our work orders and ditches and culvert cleaning. We had 184 total work orders for the month. 985 feet of ditches were cleaned, and 2,498 miles of culverts were blown out. Just for your information, the parish, we have 507 miles of roads that we work in the parish, with approximately 29 miles on the west bank, 477 on the east bank. We also work state roads in some capacity. They have 219 miles of state roads in the parish. And we do, with our agreement with DOTD, we work 142.6 miles on state roads, and 34, almost 35 is on the west bank, and 107 on the east bank. The litter violations processed for the month were 10 litter violation complaints were received and processed by DPW in February. 3 complaints were turned over to the Justice of the Peace's Court, and the hearings on these complaints are scheduled for Monday, March the 10th, or yesterday. 4 debris areas were cleaned by the owners, and 3 of the complaints, no violations were found. And this concludes my report for the month of February.
Mr. Joseph, do you have anything for the report? Anyone? All right, we'll move on to number 6, road project status report. Jason?
Parish projects, Roddy Road widening, approval of the balancing change order on the agenda. Should be the final change order for that section of Roddy Road. We do have a little bit of cleanup work that needs to be done out there, but they've done the majority of the work. The next section of Roddy Road is still scheduled for 2016 for funding. Church Point at Roddy Roundabout is in land acquisition. I have a typo there. Currently, we are working. Once we get the property there, we should be able to just head straight into construction. The 2012 road maintenance, there's a balancing change order tonight for that, close to $500,000, or close to $600,000 balancing change order on that. Ryder Road at Cannon Roundabout, I've been talking to a few of you about this one, and there may be the possibility of actually having to buy 2 houses here, or a significant portion of the property on 2 houses to make this work properly. I'm working with the engineers to make sure this happens in a proper way. But I just want y'all to know that this may be a possibility coming up for something to happen there. Parker at 929 Roundabout, we've been talking about this one for a few years now. We're still having pipeline issues there. We're trying to work through them and give you a full estimate on how much that's going to cost. We're buying the appropriate testing equipment for the parish-wide horizontal curve sign upgrades. That should be in the next couple of weeks, and then we can get that moving. Highway 42 sewer improvements, the contractor is still in the assembly phase. That has been delayed again. Highway 73 sewer improvements, that's moving along. They've done some testing on some of the lines, and that's moving along quite nicely. There's been a few hiccups, but Mr. Chapman has been very nice in getting those found. Lamar Dixon access improvements, that is moving along. Unfortunately, it will not be ready for the boat show this weekend. We tried to push it along, but the weather has been delaying it. All in-ground utilities are in. The concrete work has been done, and we have to grind in the cement and put in asphalt. It's going to be really nice whenever it's done. For state projects, the LA 30 Millen overlay, we're still awaiting environmental clearance, and it did not let on the 14th. 431 intersection improvements, if y'all have been out there, they are moving along a little bit better on that. We're actually starting to, they're getting to the point where they can lay asphalt on a lot of these turn lanes. LA 42 widening, I said it's an assembly period. They still are anticipating a completion of December 2014. LA 73 widening, just talked about that. The gold place lanes, the last time we talked about this, the notice to proceed for the design had not been done. They are now designing the turn lanes. I-10 concrete patching has been completed. They completed that early, and they're in final dress up, but the work is complete. There's a new item added here, the LA 22 at, I'm not quite sure where this is, but there was an emergency embankment repair on a bridge. They're giving a 35-day contract for that, so that was an emergency. Do you know what it is, Bruce? LA 22 at Isaac Canal, I guess, or and that's it. That concludes my report.
Mr. Cooley?
Yeah, I don't know if, when you were talking about the road improvements, you didn't mention anything about the St. Landry? Okay.
Oh, it's in there. St. Landry Edenborn Connector. I didn't say it, did I? The St. Landry Edenborn connector is moving along. We're in selection committee on that, and that selection committee is right now scheduled for the 24th. That is moving along. The environmental is at the Corps of Engineers already. That's really moving. Thanks to Bill Rue.
Great. Mr. Oliver. Ms. Terry.
Anticipated completion date on 73, how far out are we on that?
For the sewer improvements, they're estimating June 14th. Just one second. I've got it right here. The estimated completion date is October 31st, 2014. So it moved back from July last time.
I understand the weather's been bad, but we also need to, I mean, I'm sure we're calling, isn't it Barber Brothers? Are we leaning on them as much as we possibly can to move this along?
Yes, ma'am. We have parish representatives on them every single day in one way or another, plus the state is on them every single day. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, when our guys are out there, they're also looking for any problems that they create while they're out there. And if we find a problem, it's going to delay them. And we have found a few problems, but that's a good thing for
Sure,
us.
sure.
It's a bad thing for the traveling public. So I understand the catch-22 there, but in the long run, it's going to it's going to be better for the parish.
Absolutely. Certainly, I'm not encouraging that we do this wrong. I'm just so eager for those folks out there to have an opportunity to move up around in that corridor without somebody holding a flag. So, although they're doing a great job of holding the flags. I mean, the traffic is as manageable as it can possibly be under the circumstances. But let's please continue to insist that they work as long and hard as they can to get that finished.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Goulet? Mr. Lambert?
Yeah, a couple of things, design on the roundabout for, Church Point and Roddy. What are we doing there with the apartment? Are we
There's
missing the apartment? Where's the design?
the majority of the design is shifted toward the two empty lots.
So where's the issue with the, right-of-way? We had an issue, last month with the right-of-way acquisition.
It turned out that the gentleman that was acquiring the right-of-way passed away, and there was a personnel change. The issue with the right-of-way was that it was illegal, and I had skipped a step. Instead of going straight to the landowners, I went straight to O'Neill, and right now we're going straight to the landowners through our consultant company.
And what is the estimated cost of this site?
For just one second.
That's with right-of-way acquisitions.
It's not much.
And what's the project, though, the entire project?
The
Where were we budgeted? Should I
think-
say, what are we funded with the
think we're-
grant? 500,
We're 500, but I think the total is somewhere around 800.
including the right-of-way acquisition?
Yes, sir. I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry.
Okay. The next one, the Roddy and Cannon, 2 houses. Is that feasible for us? You know, I know we have probably the same amount of money for that one, 500,000, right?
If we keep the amount at 500,000, no, sir, it will not be feasible. I mean, you're going to be looking
2
at
houses, you're looking at probably 500,000.
Yes,
One
sir.
of them's large, correct?
and there's a snowball business.
That's a
that-
business operation there.
Yes, sir. So it becomes a choice whenever I get the estimate for it as to whether or not we want to move forward as a community. It becomes a safety versus money, I guess, at versus quality of life for the people around there.
And at the finance meeting last night, we had some issues with, road money, so that's some things we're gonna have to probably watch. Some of the projects that we got on board now, we might have to alter a little bit if we're running that slim on our road funds.
I don't envy our choices.
Yeah. That's
right.
all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate that, Jason. Okay. Move on to number 7, discussion of LADOTD's road transfer program. Jason?
DOTD for the last few years has offered local communities the ability to take in state roads into their system. They will bring that state road up to their standards, which are generally higher than local standards, and then give you 50 years worth of maintenance, worth of credits. There is in your packet, there is the example of EBR taking some of Nicholson Drive and Government Street for totaling 11 miles and getting $13 million in construction credits. Now, I'm not saying this is something. I'm not one way or the other on this. I'm just here to inform you.
Thank you.
I think we need to decide where we think DOTD is going to go with this. If they're going to force us to take these roads in the future, which I'm not saying they're gonna, they may. If we get forced to take these roads in the future, and then we get them for nothing, versus if we go ahead and step up to it now, we might get something for it. However, that's an if, right? So, in discussing it, they got $13 million in construction credits, and what DOTD will do is design whatever road you want in-house. So if you want to do Henry Road or Duplessis or one of those roads, that's a local road, they will come in, design it, and construct it via their standards off of those construction credits. It's a little complicated, but in the end, you're not going to get money, but you will get construction credits, which help us in what we're doing. So that's any questions.
Let's start from the end here. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
Basic, I mean, you're straightforward. Basic, if we don't do nothing, we get the road, we get nothing. Basic, they're gonna give us the road, and we got to eat the cost regardless.
I can't say that for sure, but in the past, things like that have happened. I don't want to incite a panic or anything like that, because I don't know if that's going to happen. But in the past, things like that have happened.
Mr. President.
We did discuss a lot of this last night, but again, basically, the situation is, the reason that they're doing this, they out of money. We talked about a little of that last night. So at some point, they're going to decide what roads are important to them and what roads are not. And they're going to probably be the interstate. They're going to be 61. They're going to be 73s. They're going to be the 42s, and they're going to be those roads. And they're going to say, you know, these other roads, that's the secondary. Let's say Gold Place Road in Randy's district. That's the state road, half of it, and half of it's parish road. Yeah. The back half's parish, the front half state. Joseph Area, we're going to get credit for Joseph Area, right, because when we took it in, because we wanted to make Roddy Road one contiguous road, that would be a parish road rather than have parish 3/4 of the way, then 10% Joseph Area, and the next 20% would be parish. So that way, when we do improve it, but they spent a lot of money on Joseph Area Road, and I'm sure we're going to get the credit there. I mean, I've talked to them about that in the past. But this is just another way. Every year, DOTD gets $10 million that they can put into this program. You know, and if you want to look at it, that's another way to help offset some of the costs that you get. You pick up more roads, but at least you're getting paid for it. You take in a subdivision road, you got it, and you don't get anything for it. You just got to maintain it. So, I mean, it's not a whole lot of difference. But we're going to show you a little later where we're at. We're going to give you a breakdown as to where we're headed and cost per mile, how many miles we got, how many miles we got on the books that are already our roads. Even though they don't even have roads on them, they're going to be ours anyway. So, and you'll see where we're at. So we'll get to that a little later. But the transfer program when we had tied it into our tax deal, we were eligible to get that 13 million, and Baton Rouge actually picked up and got the whole 13. So
And I guess that's what my follow-up question was gonna be. Are you gonna present something with a road list, what a cost effectiveness, and how we can make a real good,
well, we getting to a point where, you know, I think it's crucial that we not just talk about stuff. We just put it on paper, show you what the facts are, show you where we're at, and where you're going to be in the future. And that way, there'll be some decisions that need to be made. And you know, some points, we like DOTD. Maybe we have to, at some point, quit taking roads in, or either go revert back to gravel roads. I mean, some of our roads that maybe have 3 or 4 houses on them, instead of keep maintaining them with asphalt and overlaying them, you may have to look at those and revert back. I'm not telling you that's going to happen tomorrow or next week, but if we keep going at the rate we're going down the road, probably I'd say anywhere from 5 to 10 years, you're going to end up with that situation.
well, I don't think we're gonna end up in that situation. If the public is well informed of what we doing and we're knowledgeable of knowing what the numbers are, I mean, as far as the past I've been here, if you let the public know exactly what you're doing and what you're gonna spend the money on, they are willing to go that distance for their community. So I wouldn't go that far as saying that we're gonna go back to gravel roads. So if we just put a good program together and educate the public of what we want to do, I think they'll be behind us 110%. You know? That's my comment, Mr. President, that's all. That's all. Your comments is gravel, I don't want gravel.
Ms. Terry?
We certainly don't want roads in the rural areas, which is what would ultimately end up happening, returning to gravel.
Jason's point was to let you know that that program's still there.
Absolutely. And I hear in my discussions in Baton Rouge with members of the CRPC and with some discussions with the Transportation Issue Council there, that it is a significant risk that the state will give us some of these roads because they just can't maintain them themselves. So I think we really do need to look very thoroughly at this.
Mr. Clewell?
Yeah, I just, you know, within my district, and I think in Councilman Shakespeare's district, we got about, in that total area, we got 3 or 4 roads that are state roads. And you mentioned Gold Place before, because it doesn't go all the way through, you know? And, but we have several rural area state roads that are smaller roads, they're connector roads, but that they're not gonna be high on the DOTD's list. And, you know, this is always a viable alternative if we got a good swap. I think that we had, you know, the last time we had a lined up pretty good swap, you know, and a pretty good program. It didn't go through, but it's definitely, I'm like OJ, I ain't looking for gravel, but I do know this, that if everybody wants to do something, call your federal representatives. And, you know, let's restructure the taxes to where we get some of this federal money just staying in the state to where we could distribute it better. And DOTD doesn't have any budget. They don't have anything. They haven't had for years. Every time we go, we meet with them, they're 20 years behind. And so, like I said, taking in the subdivision roads, we talked about some alternatives on that. But I definitely, you know, in my district, we got some nice state roads that really, some of them connect, some of them don't connect, but they're not major highways, and they're good rural roads. And I just see, when it comes to the big politics in Baton Rouge, that those falling down on, getting close to the bottom of the list over time, given to the thoroughfares. I don't believe 22's I believe 22's going to always be a main road. I believe 431's going to always be a main road. 42's always going to be a main road. And 61, they ought to get federal money forever on that one. But I believe some of the lesser roads that we have, good roads, good state roads, are going to fall down. Our district director, he's just strapped on budget. And we know that when we call him for some help, or when we got to go help them. And we know it because of some of the maintenance that we have on the grass cutting and some of the other things that we help on. And I know, that we've had people say direct our money directly back on the parish roads. But I tell you what, we can build a good parish road, but if we can't get across that state highway, we got the same problem, and we all represent people. I think all the intersection improvements on 431 is going to pan out, especially the one at the Airline Highway. That's going to let it just go through like God knows how great that was for the at the Sorrento interchange on the Airline at 22. So, it's going to work through these projects, and they're going to be complaining like your people up on 73 when we get good enough of these people out there with flags, but it's going to be a good thing. But I do see the state moving away from putting a lot of money into some of the rural blacktop roads that we have, that we've enjoyed for years. I live on Highway 935. My God, I think it's one of the greatest roads ever built, And, it's just going to go down. We're not going to be on the top of the list on our rural roads. And the high visibility is going to be where the big traffic is, the big population is. And we're going to be asked to take some of that. But hopefully the credits, hopefully they can do what they said with the credits. That's all.
Mr. Lambert?
Yeah, the credits are great, but the roads that we're gonna actually be taking are not your little dead-end roads and subdivisions. It's your through roads that could be anywhere from 7 to 10 miles long. You go to, well, like you said, your road where you live
Yeah.
on, from one end to the other, is probably a good 7 miles or better.
Now, look at you.
When it goes to resurface a 7-mile road, we're looking at a lot of money in 10 to 15 years, every 10 to 15 years. They say the road's gonna last 40 years. We know in Ascension Parish, in the south, that these roads do not last 40 years, 20, 40 years. Anywhere around 15 years, you're doing great, and it's gonna need some maintain. Depending on how much credit you get, we gotta look at whether or not, is that enough credits to handle the roads that they're gonna give us when it's time to resurface these roads? Because we're talking 10 miles of road. Jason, you might could tell us what we're looking at for 10 miles of reconstruction of a road. How much a mile right now we're looking at?
It's, hang on, let me calculate it.
It's quite a bit, and we're talking, and that's just one road. If you take in 3 or 4, that's anywhere from 7 to 10 miles. You're looking at some big roads. Right now, well, our parish roads are,
It's roughly $250,000 a mile,
yeah,
and that's for a minor.
right, not a major construction
Right. You're looking.
overhaul on it.
Yeah.
But it's just something to think about, I know it sounds good, the credit sounds good, but down the road, will it be enough credit?
Yes.
Or will we be strapped again and be the same way? We have the road and we don't have enough funding to do it, so it's gonna get deplorable.
We were informed that we could actually pick which road we want, and the state has volumes for each of these roads. So if we wanted to pick something that only has 1,200 cars a day on it right now, even with a 20-year growth, you're looking at less than 3,000 cars a day, and they design for much more than that. I'm just saying we can make it as advantageous to us as we possibly could. But I do
We'd have to look at everyone individually to see whether or not it'd be feasible to do and really hash it out,
I think what we're trying to bring to y'all is that we need to consider it as an option, or we would like for y'all to consider it as an option.
And I guess we need to get a state official here, to say that they just gonna give up the road, abandon the state highway. How legal is that the state can just abandon the highway? I don't know if they can
lawyers?
just abandon the highway and just say, okay, we're not doing nothing with it, it's not our road anymore.
Well-
Whose road is it? It
well,
still
you-
belongs to the state. If something happens to
They've-
it,
they've
they're
done it.
gonna sue the state, so.
What Minnesota ended up doing was doing exactly what the parish president is saying. They simply ground up the road and made it a gravel road. They've done that for hundreds and hundreds of miles of roads. They have the authority to do that, even if they can't give it to us.
I still would like somebody here from the state and tell me what's their game plan in the next 5 years, 10 years with these roads. If we could get somebody maybe out of our next transportation meeting, because they got some questions need to be answered on that from them. And not so long just your guys working at DPW. I'm talking about getting some of the representatives here and senators that, that actually can maybe help us with this.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert.
Thank you.
Ms. Terry?
Todd has covered the bases.
All right. We finished with that. Number 8, approval of balancing change order. Number 4 for Roddy Road improvements. Jason?
This is to finalize the Roddy Road project, and we have $15,000 left in that budget. This would finish that out, give us the money back.
Okay,
Motion.
great. Moved by Councilman Kluwat,
Second.
second by Mr. Lambert. Any opposition? Not, motion passed. Number 9, approval of final change order number 3 for the 2012 road maintenance project. Jason?
First, I'd like to say about this, our inspection department did a really good job on trying to, with Moose, DPW, and inspections. They did a really good job of keeping the contractor under budget, and this change order reflects that. We actually went through the entire project, all the roads, added roads to it. Y'all remember adding roads to it, and are still nearly $600,000 under budget. So I have to commend them for doing that. So this is to finalize the money on this project and reduce the budget by $575,000.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Ms. Terry. Any opposition to the motion? If not, motion passed. Number 10, update on authorization of Highway 73 I-10 lighting resolution. Jason?
Our new agreement with DOTD went from Parish obligating 5% to 10%. I'm not quite sure why that happened, but they waited and now they wanted to change it to be a 10% of the cost to construct the lights. That's what this is for.
So what kind of money are we talking about?
Yeah.
What you got, Mr. Joseph?
Mr. Jace,
Yes.
they didn't send you no letter or nothing to say why they want to do that? I'm
All I'm gonna tell you is that this didn't happen overnight. It's been 10% for a while now. Back when we originally applied for this in 1998 or 1999, at that time, the match was 5%. Since then, over the years, it's gone up to 10%. So it didn't just automatically just happen. That's what it is on everybody now.
Oh, and that's all I wanted to know, if that's just the basic standard throughout the state. I mean, at least they should have said in 2009 that we went up by 10% across the board.
And by the way, it's going to cost you 10% more. I agree with you.
You know.
This surprised me as much as it's surprising everyone in here. That the likely cost for this is under $50,000 for our cost, and I would say it's likely around $30,000 for our cost.
Okay.
And is that annual?
No, sir. The
one time?
we have to agree. Just so I will tell you the whole picture here. We have to agree after these things are installed, like we did on 3089, to maintain them.
Maintain them.
However, this is a one-time cost for a shared cost of construction.
I thought it was just maintenance, but that's fine.
No, that's no motion.
We good with, it's just an update. You need anything else, Jason?
No, sir.
All right.
You don't need any vote, any authorization.
We'll move on to number 11, requesting for three-way stop sign at Waterford Lake subdivision.
I'm sorry, I might need to go back. Do I need a resolution on that, President Martinez, for that?
I think they gave the other day to change it to where we could sign for it, but you can go ahead and do a resolution.
All right, let's
Mr.
go.
Kluwat's going to make the
Motion.
motion for the resolution.
Second.
Second by Ms. Terry. Any opposition? If not, motion passed. Move on to number 11, the request for three-way stop sign at Waterford Lake subdivision. Jason, I have 3 speakers. We're going to start with Mr. Miller.
Thank you very much for seeing me today. I prepared a quick statement. Thank you for your time to review the situation in Waterford Lake. This neighborhood consists of 73 houses containing 5 streets with only 1 entrance and 1 exit. The corner of St. Marie and Audrey, where we're requesting the throughway stop sign, is definitely the most utilized area in the neighborhood. The traffic count may be low, but the volume of pedestrian traffic along with vehicular traffic is relatively high. The corner is actually on the corner of our lake, which is, we have a walking path around the lake, so people access that corner to make the curve. And with the houses, the way the houses are adjacent, people coming down St. Marie may not always see the people coming around the curve. So a stop sign there would prevent them and reduce the actual probability of a pedestrian vehicular accident, as well as reduce the speed of vehicles in the neighborhood. St. Marie is about a half a mile long in length, and the way that where this 3-way stop is located is about halfway down the street. We have previously petitioned to have speed bumps in the neighborhood to reduce the speed. Most of us in the neighborhood have small children, which play relatively close to the street in the yard. We have no sidewalks in the neighborhood. So we just want to do everything we can as, number one, an HOA, but also a resident of the neighborhood to be as safe in the neighborhood as possible. So anything we can do. We've tried the little speed that tells you what your speed is when you come down the street. We've tried police officer writing tickets. We've tried a number of different avenues to try to reduce that, but it's always short-term fixes to the long-term problem. So if you guys could approve that, it would at least be a step in the right direction. And, people would still probably speed, but at least it's a movement in the right direction. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next. The next speaker would be Mr. Murray.
Just in case. Thank you for having us this evening. I also agree with all of the sentiments from Mr. Miller. Currently, I'm the president of our HOA. I've been serving for 3 years, and professionally, I'm a Louisiana State Trooper. I've been 15 years on our department, and I can tell you, I won't go ahead and reiterate all the stuff that Mr. Miller said. I'm going to tell you on a professional standpoint, having to deliver a fatality notification was probably one of the worst experiences that any police officer can go through. And to make this, I guess, equivalent to what's going on in our neighborhood, one of the first ones I've ever done was at a playground. Speed limit posted, 15 miles per hour. Child, 7 years old. It was in Jefferson Parish. I had to make that notification. I worked the crash. I worked the fatality. That fatality, the end result was a car only traveling 25 miles per hour. Yet a death resulted in that. That is what we're trying to prevent. The things that we've done in our neighborhood to help with this is sending out notifications to the members in the neighborhood. Also, we're trying to build a complete walking track around that pond, that area where all the kids are playing at. We have 73 homes in the neighborhood. Roughly half of those homes have small children, which means future drivers in the neighborhood. The cost to us as a HOA is about $25,000 to complete that, our 5-year plan of completing that walking track. With that, we already spent another $9,000 doing a bridge across the ditch that completes the walking track. We're not asking for any money to do that. We're doing that as our HOA, part of our 5-year strategic plan. What we're asking to do is to complete this and help us with that plan and add 2 more stop signs on St. Marie. We already have a stop sign on Autry where it intersects with St. Marie. But like Mr. Miller said, this is halfway point in our subdivision, and this is where cars will tend to build up speed. And again, my example, it doesn't take much to hurt a child. We've already had complaints from our neighbors hearing screeching tires, balls going into the street. It only takes one little bump, a fragile head from a child hitting the concrete. Doesn't take much to kill a child. That's what we're trying to prevent. And I think this is a step in the right direction to help us get that, or at least help us take the best precautions. And we won't stop our enforcement from the neighborhood trying to encourage drivers to slow down. That's something we're going to continue to do as an HOA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last one, Mr. George. Ms. George.
I concur with both of my fellow board members. The life of one child is worth more than 10 cars, 15 cars going through an intersection. Thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Chair?
Go ahead, Mr. Lyon.
I guess we have all the criterias met for this.
No, sir, we do not. I don't want to offend anyone here, but our ordinance is fairly specific about this. Our DPW procedures are that we will follow the MUTCD warrant for a stop sign. There is no warrant for a stop sign here via accidents or volume. However, there is another mechanism for doing this, and it was done recently. Part of our ordinance is that you can get 75% of your homeowners in the association to sign it, and we'll go. Is that?
That is correct.
What happened? That's on a speed sign. That's not a stop sign. I'm sorry.
It was any law-abiding sign. That's how it's been in the past. Whether we
I'm
did
actually
speed
not
limits
sure
or
now.
stop signs, as long as they had the 75% sign up, we could go through with this.
No, that's just speed. I'm sorry. That's just speed limit. I'm sorry about that. That's just. I got it. I've got it. I'm sorry. It does not meet.
When did that change?
5 or 6 years ago.
It's, let me back up. I apologize, Mr. Lambert. It's different criteria for no parking signs, stop signs, speed limits. Jason, finish your criteria, whatever you find.
Would you like me to read it to you?
Yeah.
Okay. For a three-way stop or a four-way stop shall meet the minimum warrant set forth in the MUTCD. DPW will perform a traffic volume analysis and gather crash data to determine if warrants are satisfied. If the existing traffic volume or crash history warrants the requested stop installation, the councilman of the respective district will be contacted to approve the request. If the councilman approves, the request will be added to the next Transportation Committee agenda for consideration. First, would you like me to read speed limits and the entire thing, or just stop sign?
No, that's what we hear. We discussed in the stop sign, so. And that, so in the end, in this it does not meet the criteria, what you're saying.
Yes, sir. It does not. I do understand the position that the neighborhood's in, but it does not.
Mr. Martinez?
Does it make any sense to put children at play, playground signs, some other slow, dangerous intersection type signs there rather than a stop sign?
We have that on actual light bulbs that say, watch out for children who try to follow the traffic speed in that.
Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
I understand the concern they have there, but we have done ordinance and we have done modification form for certain things. I know one time we just had them, intersection streets going into another subdivision, we wasn't gonna close them. But we done that twice, Now, you can block a road off for hundreds of people to protect one neighborhood, but you can't we can't make a decision to put one stop sign up for some safety of some children where I guess over 75% of the community want it?
And it doesn't affect anybody but the community because it's inside the neighborhood with one way in, one way out.
And I can understand if somebody wanted, one person wanted, and the rest of them didn't want it. I can understand that these rules will apply to all of it. But once again, it's our decision now. For me,
I got a question.
I would go, you can have it.
Go ahead, Mr. Cloy.
Who's the president of the HOA? Yes, officer, please stand up. Come to the podium. I just want to ask you a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have, how's your HOA? You pretty much buy in? You got 100% of the community that participates in the HOA and all that?
Yes,
No,
this-
no big
this was a-
arguments, not the east side fighting the west side, and
No,
upper
sir.
street, lower street, all this crap?
No, sir.
Well, I'm just checking, because that's what we run into a lot of times. We have people that want something here, and then tomorrow when we put the sign there, the people that had no idea about it won't know what the heck went on.
Right.
So you have minutes from your meetings, you guys, y'all got, say 75%, but you got 100% buy-in that your community wants this?
We never did a complete poll of the neighborhood, but this is.
Has that brought up in your HOA meeting?
Yes, it has been brought up, and this has been in discussion with us for over
And
12 months.
Any opposition?
has the minutes or the literature from your HOA meeting made it back to all the residents that belong in that? Do y'all distribute that?
It's available for them, yes.
You say it's available to them.
Yes.
Do you have
It's upon
mechanism that
request.
everybody knows that y'all coming here tonight to to try to
Yes,
get a three-way
we've
stop
announced
sign?
that through our subdivision. that
I'm
we're
just
coming here.
asking,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes, sir.
You gotta ask. So they have that, the people in your community,
Yes, sir. We've announced that we were coming here on behalf of the community.
okay.
I got one.
Mr. Lambert?
Did y'all get any opposition, I guess, that
No,
you
we've-
know of?
We've never received any opposition.
Any opposition
about
that you
this.
know of?
No, sir.
And what district is this? 4?
Mr. Satterley in the back,
Okay.
his district.
Northern part, okay. I'm kinda like Oliver. We closed the road, and whether or not we had all the criteria is met for it in Dutchtown, and to stop vandalism and other things. And if this is gonna stop somebody from, I'm gonna make that motion that we go ahead and approve this three-way stop. And we have that right to do so and bring it to the full council.
I would second that, but before I would second it, just to cover us, and we do require those, I thought y'all did do a survey. I mean, did a
poll.
petition. I would make a amendment to-
Pending we have the, if y'all can get us I'll make that in the motion.
That's right.
Pending you have the, you know.
That's over the
signatures of
75%.
majority of the neighborhood.
And that way we'll have a record of it, and that's the justification for us, not just because we,
Got a big heart.
right.
Mr. Terry?
I just want to reserve the right to ask a question when this is finished.
Okay.
And I'm fully supportive of the safety and issues here.
Okay, the motion was made by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Oliver Joseph. This motion will be pending all the signatures in the subdivision and turned into our staff. Make sure they meet the criteria for the stop sign. If there's any problem with it, we'll take it back up at the full council whenever it appears.
I would say come back to,
Well, this is going to be on the next
We
next
can ask that
agenda.
it comes back to transportation.
Can they
Okay.
get that done in a
Why don't
week
you
and
ask
a
them
half?
if they can get it done?
yeah, that's,
Yeah, it can come back to transportation.
Or if they can do it before the council meeting.
That's
I tell you what, let's do that, because that's gonna be too close in time. We'll bring it back here to transportation, so we'll have
the signal.
a complete month to,
right,
figure
'cause
it out.
they have to verify the addresses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
okay.
have to verify the address.
Okay, the motion and second. Any opposition? Not, motion passed. And discussion was, Ms. Terry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to ask a question. Every time we get members of our community in the building, especially with issues like this one, I want to take the opportunity to ask, how do you feel about our new subdivision regulations that require parks and walking paths and sidewalks? Gentlemen? I mean, we are often having this debate about whether the members of our community want that, and so we have some of you here. I'd love to get some feedback.
I would love to say the parks part should be optional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it should be up to the individual community to determine what is right for their particular company.
Mm-hmm.
You have certain other issues involved with parks, as far as insurance and HOA costs, additional costs with that park.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the sidewalk, I've lived in 2 neighborhoods in Ascension Parish now, and either one had sidewalks, and it's always been an issue for both neighborhoods. I think that is definitely something that should be in the ordinance. for
Well, we have
neighborhood
done that, but I love to poll folks, and I just don't get an opportunity to run into our young
Great.
members of our community as often as I'd like. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for
Appreciate it.
sharing.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to number 12, road access permit, surety bond, ordinance discussion. Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Kent Shakespeare. I'm Councilman District 2. This issue was brought up due to a road, specifically Ernest Floyd Road off of Brittany Tower Road, that has been the transit place for a number of permitted heavy vessels. I'm talking about 100-ton vessels, 50-ton vessels that have been transported through this area on a pretty regular basis. My concern is that we have a road that, in my opinion, I haven't gotten any information back, but in my opinion, is not built to those standards, and yet we're permitting on a regular basis movers that have gone through with tremendous sized vessels, so big such that they have to put large mats at the entrances as they go through. And the response has been that we get bonds from the people, but on a road, I've never seen something that was immediately evident upon somebody passing. It's a cumulative effect, and you know, once we finally got the road blacktop and in good shape, now we want to maintain it, because a couple of years ago, someone used it to dig a dirt pit out, and the road was in shambles, and we had Parish had to spend a considerable amount of money to resurface it, and trying to keep that from happening again. I have a question of Mr. Taylor. What is that road? What standards was it built to? How much tonnage?
I would guess that road was built at a 250 psi, which
Because it was not saucy. I mean, it was just built.
it wasn't built to heavy load standards. It has a 10-ton weight limit on it.
Okay. If we have a road with a 10-ton weight limit, my question is, why are we permitting objects that are much larger than that to travel over?
Was that directed to me?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
whoever, I've been continually asking this question, and so finally they just said bring it up to transportation meeting.
When a road experiences a heavy load like that, the contractor can distribute that load to where it does not adversely affect the road. To give you an example, every time the garbage truck runs over these roads, they're extremely heavy. Those garbage trucks get into the 25,000 pound range, which is 10 tons. Or actually, I'm sorry, 12 and a half tons. Sorry, it's been a long time. And that's on 10 tires. The folks that moved this, who did any of y'all go out there? Yeah. How many tires were out there?
It's a 155-ton vessel. It's being pulled by two different hydraulically operated skids that it's sitting on. Each one of those skids probably had 24 to 28 tires underneath each one of them. I discussed this with the Mammoth, which was Mammoth, which was the hauler. The way they had that load set up, the pressure at each tire was actually less than the posted weight limit. I mean, the overall
It's pound
vessel,
per square foot.
including what it was being hauled under and the weight of the trucks, was 155 tons. But the actual pressure on the roadway did not exceed the 10-ton weight limit.
Right.
We permit those because of the nature of what's being done, and it has to slow up traffic. And in this case, we actually increased the amount of the bond that we took in. The amount of the bond, I think, by ordinance was very small, and we actually 30,000. We actually required them to post a $100,000 bond in order to move that particular vessel. I had my inspection staff actually follow the vessel. I was actually a part of that crew that followed it all the way through. We did an inspection with video beforehand, and we inspected it afterwards, and there was no subsequent damage to the road as a result of the hauling. And in this case, they actually did not have to leave the paved surface in order to haul, so there was no matting that had to be put down outside of the roadway.
So, so what you're attesting to is that there is no damage to that road caused by the
According to the way
permitted
that
move.
the haul is engineered, there is no more pressure from each one of the tires placed on that road than the posted weight limit of the road itself. It's all in the weight distribution and the way that it's being hauled. We permit it because of what it does to the impact of traffic, and as a result of having something to fall back on if there's damage that occurs. But in this particular case of the most recent haul, there was no damage, and actually it was very smooth. I mean, that process was quite
Yeah,
quick.
the last one was. The last one did go fairly well.
Yeah, the one reason why that particular road is being utilized is Smith Tank and Steel on Highway 30. In order for them to haul these type vessels, they normally haul strictly on state roads. And so the state was involved significantly with this haul because it actually went all the way to Plaquemine. The issue comes in because of the height restrictions. They have no other choice but to use that kind of crossover Parish road in order to make their route. We actually went to them early on in the process to see if they could find an alternate route. Truth be told, there is no alternate route. That's one reason why they've used that road for years, is because there really is no other way that they could go, because with these oversized loads, you're always dealing with the height of the load as well as the length and weight and that sort of thing.
So the railroad crossings are not engineered to swivel and move to allow them to move through, and neither is the lights at the intersection on Airline Highway?
It's my understanding that they're not.
Or is it the cost is?
It's the overpass.
Height is what was determining that one more than anything.
Okay.
They couldn't go under a lot of the overpass, the interstates, and that's why that route was particularly picked for that move.
Okay. So in the future, we will be monitoring this, and because I've had more complaints on this, and then understandably so when you're over a period of time have seen the road torn up.
Well, and I can understand your concern, and in the case of this one and any future ones that we're dealing with, we look at them on a case-by-case basis, and we are involved from the beginning to the end to ensure that our parish infrastructure is being protected.
Okay. Would you please?
Yeah, I delayed this by 2 days. I mean, this company out of Texas was probably ready to murder me. But what it came down to was they didn't have the bond in place and they didn't have their permit in place, and they were ready to haul. And so I shut down the vessel being moved as a result of protecting our roadway. So we are watching out for the parish infrastructure.
I appreciate that, and please call me the next time they move through there again. So we make sure that if you continue to do that, that would be fine.
Sure. Be happy to do that.
And we'll continue. I'm satisfied.
You
with that.
satisfied, Mr. Shake Snyder?
You got
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr.
My
President?
one suggestion here would be to go ahead and increase the bond depending on the weight, and then also increase the permit fee.
Mr. Kluwer?
Thank you, Mr. President. That's just one of the things that we can do, but I'm glad that that Brian and them explained it, that when they get these heavy loads, you're looking at multiple axles, so they distribute that load over pounds per square foot that's hitting any one point of the pavement at a time, and it's based on the compaction of the road. But one thing I do know is that most of the time, and I don't know about this guy, I don't know who it was, but most of the time, they do try to find the simplest route, and if they can get out and get on Airline Highway and get on the interstate and go, that's what they're gonna try to do. It's the overpass, it's the vertical clearance that is, they can deal with the width a lot of times by shutting down another lane for a certain distance at a time, but that they can't do anything about the vertical clearance because they can only get so low with the load. And it's usually as low as 6 inches off the ground on the low boys, and they can't take steep inclines and declines like jumping over bad railroad tracks and stuff like that also, even though the airlifts will get them a little bit past there, get them up to a foot. But that's probably not a bad suggestion if y'all can come up with some kind of, take a review of the permitting process based on the load. And that's because when we permit, we take a risk on that bond that we're the ones that got to ensure that road stays good for the residents. And I think Mr. Shakespeare has got a good point there. We got a lot of industry around here, so we're going to have a lot of loads coming through.
Well, the problem is that as much time as it takes our staff to deal with a vessel this big, it's not like just a regular vessel that gets a permit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying it needs to increase the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. President, y'all bring back the weight and the bond issue, and we'll make recommendations from there. Appreciate the update on that. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 13, payment view, the cartograph presentation. Jason?
Can you bring up the presentation, please? This is just a refresher for y'all as far as to let y'all know that we are still using this program, and we used it to make the decisions on the roads that are in front of you. The large pieces of paper in front of you are the roads that that are in the scope for 2013 and 2014. So if you'd like to review it, and then if you have any comments on it, please let me know. Hang on. So as part of our program, it keeps moving. Is that you, Liz? I've got it. I've got it. Thanks. I'm like, why is it moving? As part of our program, we're trying to get to the point. If you'll see the graph up here, we're trying to get to the point where we can do the $2 per repair. In order to do that, you basically do a thin lift and a thin lift and a thin lift, and for those of y'all who don't know what a thin lift is, it's basically putting an oily asphalt down that seals all the cracks as well as makes it gives you a little more riding surface. And this example shows it happening roughly every 7 years. If you don't do that and you let it degrade, then you start going to the $4 per point or per foot per year, $4 per foot to fix, and then again to $12 and $16 whenever you let it get past that point. To give you an idea, most of our roads are already past that point. Right. So we're in the higher cost per foot repaired. Now, this road package is taking advantage of the $2 per foot sections. We're trying to keep the good roads good. So you'll notice there's a lot of thin lift slurry on these packages. If we don't do this, then they're going to fall by the wayside like the rest of the roads. So that's why you see a lot of thin lift slurry on this. And nationwide, they're getting 7 years out of thin lift slurry. I would not expect that here in Ascension Parish due to our soils. You're probably looking at 5 years. But that's what that graph means. And some road maintenance facts for Ascension Parish. It takes $6 per lane foot per year, or per linear foot, not lane foot, per year to maintain our roads at near perfect condition. That's keeping them at 90% or above, where you always have very few cracks, it's perfectly smooth, you're running great. To maintain at acceptable conditions, which is a little bumpy, a little rough, you see cracks in your roads, but they're still serviceable, is $3.50 per foot, per linear foot per year. We own approximately 500 miles of roads, the parish does. To keep these roads perfect would require $15.8 million per year. To keep them acceptable would require $9.2 million per year. And our sales tax in 2013 produced $6.2 million. This does not include the cost to widen or to bring up these roads to standards. And we're growing at approximately 1.5% per year for roads taken into the system. So we're behind already, as we already know, and we're getting behind more quickly, I guess is the way I'm trying to put this. And I'm trying to inform you all of this now, because this is an issue that's going to have to be addressed one way or the other. And President Martinez brought this up yesterday in the finance meeting. These issues have to be addressed one way or the other, I would think. I also broke it down a little more for you in this piece of paper. In 2011, it was a slow year for us. We took in 15 roads. Those 15 roads added $32,000 per year of maintenance cost. In 2012, we added another 15 roads, but those were longer roads, and that added $90,000 per year in maintenance costs. In 2013, we took in 24 roads, and that added $125,000 per year. We currently have an outstanding road list that will be required to take in if the subdivisions are built of an additional $390,000 per year of cost. Now that's if they built out this year, which that's not going to happen, but they're going to build out in the next 2 or 3 years. That's a considerable amount of money to maintain our roads, and it's growing. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, I do have
Mr.
a
Lambert?
question. When we brought this half-cent sales tax to the ballot for the people to vote on, I stressed that big time, that we didn't have enough money in that plan for parish roads, for maintaining. And I've had opposition up here that said, yes, we do. I can remember that just like yesterday. I wanted to put more in for maintenance of parish roads to the people instead of all state highways. And I got objections from up here. I don't even think I got a second. I didn't get the votes to do so. And now we're here today saying we don't have enough maintenance money to do our roads. But 6 months ago, when we wanted to go with the half-cent sales tax, which I think would have helped sell that tax, because the people wanted it for parish roads, everybody outpolled. And now we're here tonight struggling to maintain our roads. Not enough funding. Just had to get that out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just so you know, those numbers are just for parish roads. That does not include state roads.
Right. Correct.
Mr. Toy?
All right, bringing up Todd's point that, we take all of our road money, everything possibly available to us in any direction, and just spend it just on parish roads. We don't try to partner with the state for any intersection improvements, for traffic movement, for safety or anything like that. We just spend it on just on parish roads. Do we have enough money to do what we want to do and stay ahead of the game?
No, sir.
All right?
That's including partnering with DOTD and the local road safety program as well. The local road safety program will only allow for $500,000 per year per entity. So even if you were to get that extra $500,000, it still doesn't fill in just to keep the roads adequate at a $3 million gap.
Yeah.
I got one quick thing.
Because while,
Yes,
I
sir.
mean,
That's a year.
you know, while Todd and I don't agree on everything, but one thing we do agree on, I'd just like to see when our parish roads, when we go through a full overhaul of one of the roads, is try to get them a little wider. And I know that land acquisition and right-of-ways become probably one of the most expensive things we hit on any division of what we're trying to do, whether it's drainage, roads, sewer, whatever. But if we can get them a little wider, a little safer.
Going from a 9-foot width road to an 11-foot width road is a reduction of close to 22% in average yearly crashes on a road. Adding a shoulder reduces it an additional 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
So it's proven scientifically that it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Again,
And without curb and gutter, we need to have some land for those ditches on both sides that still have sewage running in them.
yes, sir.
Okay? All right, that we can't just throw culverts in and stuff, so. But like I said, so you're telling me that if we just go straight and don't spend any money on any partnering with the state on any projects, anything for traffic movement, safety within the parish, to get some safety and traffic movement for the people in the parish, to get off the parish road and get on wherever they're going, because they either got to go on a state road or cross a state road. So you're telling me that the money that we got within our budget, that we appropriate every year, is not going to keep up with the amount of roads that we're adding and the amount of maintenance that we have on older roads and some roads that don't have a good base to start off with. They build on foam rubber or marshmallows or something, So, Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Mr. Joseph, you had anything?
Oh, I mean, I've been here for 7.5, 8 years. Since the day I got here, that's been a problem. Tommy, I'm pretty sure you've been here for 30 years. There's been a problem. The bottom line is when the public and when us gonna come up with a real plan that they gonna accept to do the true traffic study, a traffic road plan. I mean, that's the bottom line. Every meeting we come here, we don't have enough money. And we got to sell it to the public one day. We have to. So we're gonna have to figure out a plan.
Mr. Blue, I'm sorry.
No.
Mr.
Yeah,
Lyon.
just one other thing. I know you brought up, Jason, on the top, perfect roads. Well, I hate to say it, but even after we get a road resurfaced, it's not perfect in the parish. So we're not gonna go to, say, 12 million or whatever it was to get perfect roads. That's not gonna happen in this kind of conditions that we have, foundations that we have. It just ain't gonna happen.
I understand that. I have to bring you all the options. Right?
Yeah, and that's fine. And hopefully, with the tax base climbing, maybe, we can pick up some of this general fund and maybe cut some general fund money where we spend it in other places. Try to put back in road and bridges, We need to really research that. Because there's an issue out there.
The tax base is going to have to increase at 2% a year, or actually probably 3 or 4% a year to keep up with this, because costs just keep going up, and that's unfortunate.
And there again, if the public and the citizens of this parish don't want to pass a tax, we're just gonna have to live with what we have and just
Yes, sir.
maintain what we can. I don't think we're gonna go to gravel road. I'm like OJ, we don't want gravel, and I don't think we have to go that far. But we will maintain it with the priority list like you have, and just keep tapping away on it and try to move forward. And that's all we can do as a governing body up here with what we have.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Terry?
While I recognize that we didn't acquire an additional half-cent, I do want to point out that that additional half-cent would have allowed for improvements to intersections, et cetera, and freed up some significant dollars for maintenance. So perhaps it wasn't as gloomy had we been able to do that as it is now. But since the public did not approve that, then we have to find another solution. And if that includes a process of a couple of things, perhaps some of it's going to be very unpleasant, like not taking in any more parish roads, increasing some fund, cutting some things in places in order to increase funding for maintenance. But live within your means is not going to work on this, I don't think, from the sounds of it. I mean, there's going to have to be some drastic measures taken, it appears. I mean, I'm waiting for suggestions.
Yeah.
Mr. Dawson?
Just real quick, just to another point, is that even when DOTD widen roads in the parish, there's still money that has to be used to put the infrastructure in for sewer, even for them to take on that project.
Right.
So even that funding has to come with something. Usually it comes from another source that have to do that. So even if there are state roads that are going to be done, that's going to widen in projects, there's a certain amount of responsibility that the parish has to take on to get those projects done.
Appreciate it, Jason. Parish Brother, you had anything else to add to it? This is, it's going to get interesting.
It's going to get interesting because, as I said, there's another 20 miles of roads that have been approved. The subdivisions have been approved, so you're going to take those in. So that's going to continue, and the cost to build a road is going to continually go up. Again, we've thrown out several solutions. You asked for solutions, Ms. Cazzo. I mean, we've looked at different options in every which way, shape, or form, but there always seems to be a problem with the solutions. So, again, at this point, we're open to solutions. We're going to do the best that we can with what we got. Hey, that's what we said. So, at some point, it won't be next year, Todd. It won't be maybe 5 years from now. But you can't think about what's going to happen 10 years when it gets to 10 years. You need to start thinking about how to remedy the situation now for the future. It's easy to just keep trotting along the way we're going and hey, same old, just continue to keep on going down that road. But somewhere down the line, it's going to catch up with you. All we're doing is trying to make you aware. Because even before the tax measure was put on anything else, nothing's changed, okay? You got the same numbers you had before the tax, after the tax vote. So nothing's changed there. So we couldn't have made it then, we couldn't have at that point. So we're going to do what we've been doing. We stretch it, and we go, and we might put a little bit thinner coat of asphalt on there rather than a heavier coat. Do what we can do. So, but my point here is if you continue taking roads in, you're never going to get to a point. Even if the tax base continually goes up, if you take in 20 miles of roads in the next 2 years and tax goes up maybe 2%, you're still losing ground. So that's why we brought yesterday to the finance committee, why we brought that. It may not be the solution, but it's at least a start. To starting to cut back and do what you need to do. And I'm not ready to put another tax on the ballot. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm trying to at least look at some solutions here to see what we can do. And we can cut recreation. We can cut recreation. That's general fund money. We put 10% of our money goes to recreation. I mean, there's not a whole lot of leeway there that we can move because all of our monies are dedicated funds. So that's where the problem comes. You can keep taking from general fund, but eventually you don't have anything left. So that's all you got is the 1 cent sales tax that's not dedicated. That's it. And some of that's dedicated now. Since we built the new jail, we got to pay $1 million a year there in debt service. One thing that's going to happen in 2016 is one of the bonds will be paid off, so you'll add another $1 million, so that'll kind of lessen there. But I mean, you're still going to need to catch up somewhere along the line. $2 million a year is basically what we're looking at just to maintain what we have today. But as I said, if we keep taking roads in, that's the point.
Appreciate the information, Fred. Go ahead, Mr. Terry.
Tommy, I really think this committee and the council is prepared to make some hard votes. So what I would ask is tell us what we need to do and let us hash it out. And I know we started that discussion last night in the finance committee. I mean, we need direction from the administration, and then we need to hear from the members of our communities about what they want to see happen. And then we will do what we must do. I mean, this is not an indecisive council.
All right. With that said, we'll move on to number 14, the discussion of road for acceptance into the parish maintenance system. Mr. DeAlmond?
Yeah, well, we got 3 tonight on the agenda. I just want to state that the 2 of them are not actually, the bond's up on yet. They're not going to come in till May. But we brought them on the agenda tonight because there's some work that needs to be completed. We wanted to give the contractor enough time to get in and get the work completed. But we'll start off with the first one, and that's at Mossy Oak. The recommendation we're going to make on Mossy Oak tonight is to deny. They still have a little work. This one was supposed to come to you last month, but because of your cancellation of your meeting, it's coming in tonight. The bond is actually up. It was up on the 5th, but we're going to recommend to deny it until they finish up a small punch list that's left on this one.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Oliver Joseph. Any opposition to the motion? If not, motion passed.
I was just told that we want to let you know that we'll be notifying the bonding company. We'll put a hold. We're not actually going to take the bond. We're just going to put a hold on it till this punch list item is completed on that one. The second one that we're bringing up is Bullion Crossing. Bullion Crossing's been under 2-year bond, and the bond runs out on 5/21. Like I said, this was brought to you early because they got some punch list items that need to be met in that subdivision. So we're going to recommend denying that one tonight too, till the punch list items are complete.
Motion.
Moved by Councilman Kluwat,
I second.
second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Not, motion passed.
Okay, the third one we have tonight is Keystone with Galvez, nice filing. It's another one that's due on 5/14, the bond will run out. We brought it to you 2 months early because there's some work to be completed in that one also. So it's based on the punch list not being completed, we're going to recommend denial on that one too.
So moved, Mr.
Moved by
Chairman.
Councilman Todd Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Kluwat. Any opposition to the motion? Not, motion passed.
And one more thing I'd just like to let y'all know, y'all been talking about all these subdivision roads. There's 7 subdivisions going to be taken in this year, roads. You're looking at the ones not including these. And I'll go through these right here. You got it in your package, but yeah, it's 2.66 on these 3. You're probably looking at about another 4.5, 5 miles with the other 5 that's coming in. I mean 4 that's coming in later this year.
Don't we have with the plots, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Don't we have with the plots that's in with planning and everything, a lot more miles right now?
Yeah, that was discussed in Jason's report a little bit
Yeah.
earlier.
I just want to reiterate that. Rolling up to
20 more
20,
miles.
20 miles.
When all the filings are complete, the subdivision has been approved.
Sir? So 25 total. To our 500. Whatever.
Any other discussion on it? Not, we'll move on to number 15, discussion of maintenance work on Allison Drive. Jason?
This is an interesting development in helping us to maintain our cost. There's a DOTD approved method of lining your drainage pipes underneath the road so that you don't have to dig them up and replace them. Allison Road, if we were, they're starting to deteriorate, the pipes, they're metal pipes underneath the ground. I'm sorry? culverts underneath the ground. They're roughly every 300 feet down the road. And what this will do is allow us to not place Allison Drive on the maintenance list as early as it would have come up. We're going to stop the deterioration and hopefully keep our costs lower. So instead of spending in 2 years after it deteriorates and collapses $120,000, this will cost under $50,000 to get this done. So we're actually trying to maintain our cost, and just letting you know through this discussion, we are trying to work within our means.
Right. Mr. Cloy?
Yeah, what type of method are you using for lining it?
This is through SnapTight.
Yes.
So it's we have used it in the past.
Yes, that's probably one of the latest.
Fairchild Road we did.
Yeah. That's probably one of the latest things, and we use them in industry. They save hundreds of $1,000s, where you don't have to go into plant areas and things like that, and that works.
So we are trying.
And you actually got pretty much what the liner, the composite material of the liner, the HDPE or whatever you use in there, is better than what the original culvert was.
I would agree with that 100%. That it should last longer than that metal, especially with the sewer in the water.
It's outlast the road that it's under.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other discussion on this?
Do we need a motion to actually do this at under $50,000?
Well, it just says discussion of maintenance. It didn't say anything about moving on.
Because we can normally just do this under 50.
Mr. Pierce, you need a motion or what?
I think we want to.
Where-
Highway 74 on, and about Bluff Road.
We had an inspection on it by SnapTight representatives, and I think we'd like to do our own inspection before we
Yeah, let's just
come
leave
back
it
with a
as-
final.
All right, so leave it as a discussion.
Yeah, and we'll come back with a final after we
Okay.
do our own inspection and maybe try to get a motion on it.
You got it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
Motion to adjourn, then, Mr.
Moved by
Chairman.
Councilman Lambert to adjourn, second by Mr. Cloy. To adjourn.